Story coming out today that last Friday, a former FBI agent named Moffa testified that the FBI will leak information to the press and then use the press's reporting to help them get FISA warrants against American citizens. What a FISA warrant is it allows you to go over the constitutionally protected rights of an American citizen and actually be able to spy on them, presumably because they have there's a good reason to expect that they're committing a serious crime, usually that involves national security. This story is outrageous for several reasons. The first is, why is this court accepting evidence from the press in the first place? It should only be accepting evidence from our intelligence agencies. We all know the press routinely gets stories wrong. They're not held to the same standard that the FBI is supposed to be. So it's kind of disturbing to find out that people are being spied upon, in part based on reporting from someone like CNN or Yahoo News, as we see in the Carter Page incident. The second reason this is outrageous is it once more shows that the FBI is leaking information to hurt people, which is absolutely insane. There's no reason for this. What this means is the FBI is acting more politically, or even in cases that aren't politically motivated, it's still very corrupt for the FBI to be leaking information about ongoing investigations to the press. How would you feel if, you're innocent of these charges, but the FBI goes around leaking to CNN or the New York Times how guilty you are, and could ruin your life based on an investigation that hasn't even happened yet? And the third most important reason that this is outrageous is this is the FBI basically admitting they couldn't dig up enough evidence on their own to justify these FISA warrants, so they're going to corruptly lie to the FISA court by leaking this information to the press, then pretending to the FISA court, this must be true because all these independent journalists came up with the same justifications we did, the same evidence we did, which is a total lie by omission. They're not telling the FISA court, actually, that Yahoo News report or that CNN report was actually sourced by us telling them this. That's why they came to the same conclusion as us. This is corruption of the highest level, and it actually, I believe, is a felony to lie to the FISA court. So any FBI agent that knowingly did this would have been committing a felony, and any person that signed off on this warrant application, that would be people like the head of the FBI, people involved in the DOJ and things like that, would also be committing crimes. Now, this article also goes on to state that there is no evidence that this is what happened with the warrant into Carter Page. Just a brief aside, what happened was there's allegations that Christopher Steele, who was the spy that was hired by Fusion GPS, the company hired by Hillary Clinton to dig up dirt on Trump, leaked information to a journalist named Michael Isikoff from Yahoo News about his dossier and all the dirt he found on Trump. The FBI then, as part of their warrant for the application to spy on Carter Page, who was a former member of Trump's campaign team, cited this Yahoo News article that said, basically their point was like, it's not just our one source that is saying it's also Yahoo News independently verified that these allegations are true. The problem is the source for this independent verification was the exact same person, Christopher Steele. So imagine it would be like if I tell you a rumor and then I say, and go ask my neighbor, they'll tell you the same rumor. Well, yeah, but the neighbor just heard it from me. That's basically what's going on. This article says there's no proof that the FBI leaked that story, but it doesn't matter for two reasons. One, it doesn't matter if the FBI leaked this story to hurt Trump in this instance or not. The fact, if the FBI did this to anyone ever, is corruption that needs to be investigated, and all the FBI agents that did this need to be held accountable. And it also shows the FBI is willing to be corrupt to go after people they want. We know from the text, we know from the actions of James Comey, who was the head of the FBI, from Brennan, who was the head of the CIA, from Clapper, who was the head of the NSA, all of these people despise Trump, including other higher-ups at the FBI like Peter Strzok. So if we have proof now that the FBI is willing to lie and commit felonies to go after people they don't like, and we know they don't like Trump, it just further compounds the situation as why we need an investigation into the FBI. The other thing is, with the Isikoff story, even if the FBI didn't leak this information to Isikoff, they signed off on this warrant. You have to sign off on the FISA warrant every 3 months. They continued to sign off on the FISA warrant after they knew Christopher Steele was leaking to the press. So they basically knew that Christopher Steele was the source behind this leak, but they didn't tell the FISA court that, and they continued to act like the Michael Isikoff Yahoo News story was reason to corroborate these facts. So the real crux of the story, FBI illegally leaking, basically lying to FISA warrants to get wiretaps on American people. This is unjust. These people need to be held accountable. And it just is another in a long line of example of proof that the FBI is acting in unethical and corrupt ways.